Right out of the gate, movie is a dick to people with epilepsy. Also, why are there metal detectors outside? Did the school splurge on weather-resistant metal detectors? Or is this just some idiotic plot device to make Sean look like more of a badass, when it actually just makes him look like he favors large belt buckles? How was the f***ing mascot kid able to fit through the metal detector in the first place? And why does he already have on the mascot costume? Did he wear it at home and then drive to school with this shit on? This teacher writes some math shit on the marker board, and then walks over to this other marker board and simply writes Monday on it, then goes back to the math. Also, this is the most complicated series of instructions for 8x equals 72 I've ever seen. I mean, x is 9, goddammit. It's that simple. And she not only writes the same equation down twice for some reason, but she's also making solving for x the most confusing thing ever. 2 cents, one for the racist Indian mascot, and a second one for the racist Indian piñata. So it's come to this, the Fast and the Furious franchise, unable to get Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, and others to come back for a third movie, rated Home Improvement for stars 7 years after that show went off the air. Sean goes to a fancy school where they offer slow-mo car repair as an elective, giving him an unfair advantage to star in this franchise. If they aren't painting him purple to make him look like Grimace, then this is a terrible waste of bullying. This movie was written. This asshole football player carries around a spare baseball just in case Lucas Black from Sling Blade talks to his girlfriend and needs to smash his window with it. Also, this kid certainly has one hell of an arm. He's able to completely bust through the rear windshield of this car just by throwing a baseball. Also, the ball went through the rear windshield, passed through a wormhole that exists in the back seat, then came out behind the car. This movie took great pains to show us that Sean had put the wrench back in the toolbox. So what is this supposed to be? It's either the dumbest misdirection in a movie's first 5 minutes ever, or it's a continuity error. Either way, it's sinful as shit.
Winner gets me.
I mean, you're sexy and all, but... Also, the movie thinks it can avoid the women are prized to be won criticism by having this girl volunteer herself as the prize. No one's working in this large development during a weekday. Either this subdivision really feels the effects of the housing market crash 2 years before it actually happened, or this is some bull. This truck that is not part of the race is able to keep up with 2 cars that are custom built to go fast. Back in 2006, there were many issues people faced every day, and we dealt with them the best we could. But 2 movies, Cars and The Fast and Furious 3, made clear that many Americans suffered from the embarrassing inability to drift. These movies need to explain how, when Sean was way behind, he caught up in a matter of seconds, but now that he's caught up and on a completely different road, he can't pass the guy he so easily caught up to.
I thought you loved me.
This prompts Clay to do the thing he should have done 10 minutes ago, drive faster than the other guy. Sean busts through a framed house with little to no damage to his car, because his car only sustains damage when it's convenient to the plot. They survive this, and Sean survives all this. This seems like an awkward time for a Tabasco product placement movie. Wait a minute, who was in position to record this? When Sean did his stunt, there was no one around with a camera. Only one set of parents show up for Clay and Cindy, which makes me think that they're brother and sister. So now I'm in some kind of flowers in the attic subplot that's way more interesting than Sean moving to Tokyo and learning how to drive sideways.
So where are we moving this time?
Why does everyone seem to think you can avoid being prosecuted for a crime by moving to a different city? This kid broke several laws. They can move all they want, but he'll still have to go before a judge in the town where he committed the crimes. In case you confused it with Tokyo, French Guiana. Sean is upset that his single adult dad has a woman over, because if Sean isn't getting laid, then no one should get laid.
But your mom, she said the 7th sea, and we're a day ahead of you in Japan.
Which would mean it's the 8th in Japan? Which would mean the 7th came and went, and you weren't at all concerned that your son didn't show up at the airport? Yeah, but which train? How does he get to the station? Which one is his stop? Does he need to make transfers? Can he read the signs to be able to buy a ticket? So many questions left by this note. Sean makes it to school without getting lost as No one is even slightly concerned that Sean speaks basically no Japanese and is still expected to be successful at a Japanese high school. Sean grimaces at what looks delicious. Did he already forget what American school lunches look like?
You selling a Sparko steering wheel?
The steering wheel isn't inside his bag, because writing meaningful dialogue that would reveal their mutual interest in cars would be way too much work. Twinkie's ride is an Incredible Hulk-themed Volkswagen minivan, because he thinks the name of this franchise is the function and the spaciousness.
For when you blow your wad, man.
Everyone loves semen jokes. This large group of car enthusiasts somehow has the ability to take over this entire parking garage at night. Convenient cute girl we saw at school earlier who also shows up to the late night street races is convenient.
Neela, right?
You're a quick learner.
Being able to recall one person's name is hardly indicative of learning speed.
Hey, yo, look, man, he's Yakuza.
Now see, that's funny, cause I thought this was like a free country.
Is this guy supposed to be our protagonist? Because he's really been nothing but a dick the whole movie. If you saw this dude from any other character's perspective, you'd understand why everyone else is a dick back to him.
You know who I am, boy?
You like the Justin Timberlake of Japan, right?
Man, this movie can't even get its insults right. Future Sex Love Sounds was a mere 3 months away, and it took the piss right out of this insult in record time.
You know Yakuza? The Mafia?
This is really Twinkie's fault for not briefing Sean on the potential gang activity in this parking garage.
You're the one that's lucky.
Then let's race.
Didn't we see the entire last 13 minutes of this movie in the first 12 minutes? Is this like Groundhog Day and no one told me?
Take mine.
This is the worst decision this guy will make today.
I want to see what the kid's got.
And I have gobs of disposable income and insanely good car insurance, so I don't care if he beats the shit out of my car.
You know what DK stands for? Drift King.
Drift.
Sean, who is a car and racing enthusiast, doesn't know what drifting is, forcing the movie to explain it to him and me and you.
You know that real famous painting? The one of the woman who's smiling all the time?
The Mona Lisa.
Come on, you're telling me this dude didn't know what the Mona Lisa was called? I mean, for Christ's sake, pick something different for him to be ignorant about.
This car right here is like the Mona Lisa of the drift world.
And even though Sean has never drifted before, they still let him drive it. This guy is eating out of a magical Mary Poppins bag of croutons that never runs out. It's literally insane that Sean doesn't kill anyone during this race, with his lack of drift knowledge and all. By the way, how is Sean even close right now? This guy is drifting all over his ass, and Sean crashed like twice, but here he is, making it some kind of a race. It's amazing this movie wasn't more successful. It took something really cool, racing, and made it look like someone aggressively trying to find a parking spot. Sean decides to keep racing instead of stopping and saying, you know what, you've clearly won this round because I don't know how to do this, so I'm gonna go and learn how to drift during a 5-minute montage and we'll try again next week. If an asshole drifts up a spiral ramp and no one can see him, is he still an asshole? The answer is yes. Sean loses the race and wrecks Han's car, which is exactly the kind of Purple Rain or 8 Mile kind of conflict this movie needs. Will he ever learn to drift or win respect? Watch those other 2 movies to find out.
Have you been racing, Sean?
Don't lie to me, I can smell it on your breath.
This isn't a game. If you're gonna live under my roof, you're gonna go by my rules.
Oh man, movie just unlocked the secret cliche prize box. Tell them what they've won, Jeremy. Thanks, Jeremy. Movie, you have won an additional 10 sins for all the cliches in this movie.
There's a guy in there with a paw that owes me some money.
How hard would it be to say this guy has a paw tattoo on his shoulder? Han decides to be needlessly cryptic to create this unsatisfying reveal. Han is making a convincing case to change the apple asshole sin to nondescript bag of snacks. It's basically working the same magic here. Movie continues the tradition of this franchise putting its cars on roads where there is no traffic.
I call you show.
Only if you teach me how to drift.
This ain't a negotiation.
I wasn't negotiating.
Okay, so I'd be happy to teach you how to drift in my spare time then, as long as it's not a negotiation, which your language, context clues, and tonal inflection all suggested. I am totally down with the drift lessons. Jeez, let me state for the record that Sung Kang is the most oral actor in history.
You really need to stop following me around.
Neela is attracted to Sean for several reasons, but mostly because the screenwriter told her to.
Let me guess. You're an army brat who moved around a lot.
Why do all these army kids go to regular Japanese high school? Isn't there a special army kid English-speaking school they can all attend?
But why are you letting me race?
That's your DK's kryptonite.
Why though? He's been here for maybe a week, and all he's done is severely underperform in one goddamn race.
You can do better than 180K, they can't catch you.
If they ever find out they can bring in other cop cars to block them off or use helicopters to track speeders, they'll be unstoppable. Movie totally thinks it's the Goodfellas of drift movies. Okay, cars are great and all, but I have trouble believing that a heterosexual 18-year-old dude can take his eyes off 2 beautiful women who are giving him attention to go look at some cars.
The Red Evo's yours.
Man, crashing this dude's car was the best thing Sean could ever do in his life. Why is this asshole being taught to drift on a dock? Are there no empty parking lots where you can practice this Do they want him to stop the fight? Why don't they just grab a teacher? I would like to pause in the middle of this fight to tell you why we're fighting in the first place. You know, in case any students/filmgoers don't know what this is about. Spit fisting.
So how'd you end up over here anyway?
Well, you know those old westerns that cowboys make a run for the border? This is my Mexico.
Oh. Also, Han continues to be insanely cryptic because creating an identifiable backstory for this character would be way too challenging and would get in the way of all the establishing shots of brightly colored cars and pretty girls.
It's trust and character I need around me. Who you choose to be around you, let you know who you are.
Or who you're forcing to be with you because he wrecked your car and you need him to pay off the debt. That too.
One car in exchange for knowing what a man's made of. That's a price I can live with.
So having Sean wreck your car proves to you that he's reckless, cocky, and possibly stupid. I guess those are all the qualities of character he's looking for.
So if you don't drift to win, what do you drift for?
Holy shit, this movie is a stone's throw from Disney's brink. You know, you could also say hello to meet women. That also works. Also, drift seduction. Also, how many tires do you go through per day to keep up a drifting habit? All of that just to get a number. Sorry, if that type of is required for simple digits, then count me out of the dating pool in drift world.
The first drifters invented drifting out here in the mountains by feeling it.
They lived in a terrible feudal society where they had to drift for their lieges in order to keep their lands. Also, Han leaves out all the crucial technique needed to actually drift. But yeah, just feel it and see how that goes.
Again?
Does he mean repeat this shot again? Because we've seen it 3 times. That guy's learned so much. When are we ever going to stop fishing and get married? This movie expects me to believe that Sean was able to learn drifting at an expert level in a matter of months, and is able to beat these guys that have been doing it for presumably several years. This guy needs to take a drift management class. Yeah, totally.
But I realize now, outsider or insider, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is knowing what you really want and going after it.
And serendipitously crashing some stranger's car who happens to take you under his wing helps too. Also, Sean knows what he wants. He wants to win a drifting race just for the sake of winning one. Synchronized drifting.
We used to come up here when we were kids. Even before we could drive, we'd cut class, sneak out, come up here and watch the older kids drift.
So, before you could drive, you used to come up here to the fucking mountains to watch people drift? How did that fucking happen? Did you hike up here? Or did you Marty McFly and hitch a ride on someone's car while on a skateboard? Also, even while drifting, Neela is able to softly whisper this story to Sean, and Sean seems to understand every word.
Yo, come on, man. Look.
Are you telling me that Sean saw this dude get out of his car, saw him start walking angrily towards him, and didn't think to run, defend himself, or otherwise prepare for a fight?
Stay away from him. Or the only thing you'll be driving is a wheelchair.
I'll help you beat the shit out of him if you promise me a wheelchair drifting montage.
Do you know who you are? Do you know where you belong?
I'm starting to think all the dialogue in this movie was constructed like a ransom note using screenplay clippings of other popular movies. I like how Sean made friends with 2 other people in high school and the movie doesn't explain anything about them or what they have in common. There's enough space for them to just drive straight away, right? The drifting thing is fun and they've backed themselves into a corner by making it the main reason the movie exists. But would it be way more efficient to just drive normally?
Sean!
Look, even with a good honk warning, you would not be able to clear out a crowd full of pedestrians and sneak through. Some won't hear the honk, and others will be screwed by their fellow pedestrians, and you will kill 10 of them before everything's over. Chase scenes with cars like this can be fun, but editing like this is f***ing ridiculous. Given how fast they're going, I find it hard to believe they would both be able to walk away unscathed from this crash. Han's death scene doesn't include Jason Statham, and yes, that's a sin I'm giving this movie for something that happened at the end of Fast and Furious 6. Franchise retroactive sinning, baby. No law enforcement shows up, allowing them to just walk away and casually get on a subway. DK knew to find them at Sean's dad's house because he was tipped off by the screenwriter.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Neglectful dad ex machina. Also, how did he get out here in time? Did his dad's sense tingle and he knew the commotion outside was related to Sean? The guy left without a note and has been gone for, I don't know, let's say 3 weeks.
And I'm responsible for my mess. I gotta do this.
Can someone explain to me what he has to do exactly? Is he gonna kill DK? Turn himself into police? Rescue the girl? Convince Bow Wow to add the Lil back? And Sean's vague vagaries somehow convince his father to let him go do this.
At least you're not redoing my mistakes.
I guess that's one way to do it if you ignore all the original mistakes he's made all by himself. Also, is he saying that Sean's mess doesn't at least equal or exceed the mistakes he's made? Come the f*** on. All Sean's dad did was be a bad father. Sean's going to be wanted on 2 continents after this.
Maybe I should talk to Kamada.
I'll let Twinkie take this one.
I know I just didn't hit it. You can't just walk into Kamada's place, man.
That's all I got.
So Sean walks right up to Kamada's place, gets shot dead, and the movie ends with 23 minutes of credits?
Something I think Han would have wanted you to have. You're gonna need it if you're gonna make it out of Kamada's place alive.
Don't you need it?
Nah, it's cool. Like, I'll figure it out.
Wait a minute. Twinkie said, this is something I think Han would have wanted you to have. So did Twinkie mean Han would have wanted you to take my money? Isn't it Twinkie who is giving Sean this money and it has nothing to do with Han whatsoever? The f***ing f***. Apparently you can just walk right up to Kamada's place. Who knew?
Kono ga arimasu.
The drift training montage ran long and bumped the learning Japanese montage.
I'm here to offer you a peaceful solution.
Is it a race?
A race.
F*** you, movie.
The cops took all the cars.
In addition to being an unexplained friend, this guy also serves as the narrator. Luckily, Sean's dad just happens to be working on a car that could easily be retrofitted with street racing parts for this finale to happen. But this dude's nickname in the army was God in the Machine. Is this our 3rd or 4th montage? I lost count. Also, after Sean requested the race, did he get a full week or so to prepare for it? The Yakuza overlords must have said, I agree to the race, but first, get in a good week to prepare. You know what? Make it 2 weeks. And here's 50 grand to start your new business.
DK picked this road for a reason. This is his mountain.
And he's got some barrels he's going to throw at you. As I see the old man get out of the car, I'm wondering, why did he even agree to this? This is a massive waste of time. The stakes are loser leaves town for good. So what? He doesn't get anything from that arrangement. Sean already gave him the money Han owed. If he loses, he doesn't die or learn a lesson or have to give him more money. This is some bullshit. Man, I was hoping this dude was going to use his bra to start the race. How the f*** are they all watching this on their cell phones? Even if there were invisible drones filming it, there's no way those mid-2000s era cell phones could play back live streaming video. Have you ever tried to stream anything on Edge Network? That was the fastest f***ing thing at the time. I know they're all about drifting, but they could easily turn around some of these corners normally. And as far as I know, you don't get bonus points for style in this race, nor do you get a little power boost coming out of the slide like in Mario Kart 64. It's just whoever gets to the bottom first, right? And here, in this case, who's recording this part of the action? There's no one around to broadcast this, but yet everybody looking at their phone sure seems to see the race perfectly clear on their tiny-ass screens. This camera move illustrates the cliff that Sean might tumble over if his car continues to do what this camera just did, which is to confuse us as to how far away Sean is from this cliff. I couldn't really see what was going on, but I definitely smelled some bullshit. It's too bad I don't know how far away from the finish line these guys are. Giving us a course and some updates on their status might have made this exciting. DK conveniently and impossibly falls right in front of where Sean is driving, only so this shot can exist, and he survives this.
Heard he's been beating everybody around Asia, too.
Well, you heard wrong, because Furious 7 makes you a liar, because Dom didn't come to Asia to beat a whole bunch of people racing. He came here to pick up Han's And yes, that's not only a retroactive sin for a future movie, but that's also a sin we already mentioned in the Furious 7 video. Take that, Furious.
This dude over here want to race. Said he knew Han.
Then why the f does he want to race? Why can't they just sit and talk about their dead friends? It's because we got 2 minutes left, and that would require writing dialogue? Well, alright then.
I got nothing but time.
Yep, you're just in the middle of all that Jason Statham bull in Furious 7. It can wait. Darwin Awards by ad space at the end of this movie.
Danny! How you doing, Gino? How are you? Good, good.
So how'd you end up over here anyway?
Well, you know those old westerns? Where the cowboys make a run for the border? This is my Mexico.
Don't change the subject, just answer the fucking question.
Boy, crazy boy. Get cool, boy. Got a rocket in your pocket.
I like the way you talk.
I like the way you talk.
意とやんごとなき際にはあらぬが、優れてときめきたもありけり。我はと思い上がり、たまえるお本方々。